Broker moment.
Oh boy, this will be fun. Um, Before I get to my next one, I just wanted to share really quick. How many people here received the letter and read the letter from our new CEO yesterday? Okay, super interesting stuff, but I thought I would share it with you. In a nutshell, um, KW West, excuse me, KW Real Estate or Realty International settled on the Batten case. And it's one of the million cases that are out there. So I went into perplexity and said, tell me about the Batten case. Now I know about it just because I'm a nerd on that kind of stuff. But in a nutshell, Batten was against NAR and a bunch of other companies, including Keller Williams International, major home buyer antitrust case. The moral case, the Sitzer case that was um, settled in Kansas City, that one was representing sellers and said there's antitrust for agents and brokers working together in an illegal way to try and keep home prices high and commissions higher. The Batten case is all about buyers. And so, in a nutshell, KW announced that, hey, we are out of the lawsuit now. We've been released from it because we've settled with the plaintiffs. Um, and it's one of the reasons why KW actually went into a partnership um, with, I can't remember the name of the company. Shoni, do you remember off the top of your head who they are? Who are our partners? Stone Capital. Yeah. Anyway, bottom line is they have really deep pockets. But the best part was they negotiated a settlement so that we don't have to go through until this thing goes on in perpetuity. We've already limited the liability. And it's in a nutshell, it's just to protect. And he says, I'm pleased to share that we've negotiated a nationwide settlement in the Batten et al. V. National Association of Realtors et al. On terms that protect our organization, our franchisees, and our affiliated agents and teams. So, in a nutshell, that's what happened. They've settled the Batten case for KW agents. There are still several other defendants in that case, including Anywhere, Compass, and a bunch of other companies that are out there. A lot of local independents. It, it would be, gosh, the buyers they're claiming that they were harmed because listing agents were going to pay a 6%. I'm using a number now. I'm just picking a number. They said so many bananas. No, they said 6% or whatever, 3% to a buyer agent, that they colluded that they were going to be doing it that way. And so it artificially pushed prices of homes higher so that sellers would have the equity sufficient to be able to pay those commissions to their listing brokerage and also on behalf of a buying brokerage, selling brokerage. And so anyway, that's the basis of their case. And anyway, I kind of want to move on. And so I'm going to, and where did I put my clicker? Here it is. I got it. You guys are realtors. You're supposed to know something. And so what I did is I just ran today's numbers. Wanted just to walk you through again. I do this every day because I'm a nerd again, and I get it. But this morning there were a total of almost 10,500 listings on the multiple listing service total. In Utah County, there's 2,347 at the time that I took when I ran my numbers. 1,149 are to contract. And in the last 30 days, less than 500 homes have sold. It means that we have nearly a 5-month inventory. Is it turning closer to a seller's market? Yeah, it is. I'm sorry, more of a buyer's market. Excuse me. Thank you. And you'll notice the difference. I put in January's average days on market. That's going to be higher than the median. I did that on purpose to try and get sellers off the dime. Excuse me. That days on market jumped from 68 in the month of December to 74 in January. List prices are still going up, as are sales prices. Anyway, I hope that's interesting. The January median price dollar per foot is at 205.78. Last month it was, I believe, 220. So it came down quite a bit. Yeah, Rob.
Last year, oh, sorry. Somewhere I heard that in the third quarter of last year that a third of the homes nationally on the market were bought by institutional buyers here. And with Trump kind of coming in and saying they can't do that anymore, do you think do we have any idea how many of these are institutional buyers that are going off the market?
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question.
Well,
Rephrase that if you would.
there's institutional buyers like, the hedge funds and stuff like that that buy up a lot of single family homes.
Oh, you mean, are you talking about what his proposal was that it would be
Well, I'm just wondering
institutional buyers?
if we have any idea of how many of these are private buyers and how many of them are institutional buyers.
I don't know that there's a good way to do it. Go ahead.
And would that affect the what's going to happen in the future?
Yes, it will have an effect in the future because Blackwater, I believe it was the biggest one. Blackstone, sorry, Blackwater. They're a different company. Sorry. Blackstone, I believe they were buying roughly, I think nationwide, roughly upwards of a third of all homes out there. I don't think they're that high. They've hit a lot of roadblocks because they were buying and holding, and it just got too expensive. Anyway, any thoughts, Shoni, about that?
Just verifying the stats, but last I heard is it's really only about 5%, 3 to 5%. So just verified it of homes in America are owned by institutions. So like there's a narrative out there that there's a lot of institutions gobbling up properties, and it's not true. It's nowhere near 30%.
Yeah, and the other side too was they were very heavy into buying overseas. I want to say in the Chinese market they were really high, and so I'm less worried about institutional buyers. I'm still trying to get moms and dads in. Heard some stats lately that goodness, Utah is number 6, I believe, in the country as far as most expensive homes. Jumped from small state to now it's it's if you will middle tier state. No longer we're still growing, and so those are good problems to have, but they're also difficult challenges to have.
So just one more note on that. So the stat is that about 25% of homes in America are investor owned, but the majority of that is just single mom and pa owning 5 to 10 units, not the institutionals that are buying,
mom, pa's and Shoni own homes. Yeah. And that's not a slam. I mean, several of us own additional properties, and that's a great thing. And so it's not these monster conglomerates or the hedge funds as much as it is more of the investment properties are owned by individuals or small LLCs. Yeah, this is on the MLS. Some new construction is included in that because a lot of new construction is on the multiple listing service, and they will put them on for comparable purposes. So they do that. Anyway, I just threw it up there. You should know something. Someone's going to go, what's going on in the market? Gee, we have nearly 5 months of inventory. Is that a story you can tell someone? And does that help you? Every week in my silly newsletter that I send out, my Around the Block, you'll see what this market snapshot was for usually Thursday on that. Anyway, I just threw it out there for you. Added color just to make the slides super attractive. Anyway. Shoni said, I really want you to put everyone to sleep, Dean. And I said, here I am. And so I wanted to talk about some questions. Will you move that up on the screen? Thanks. So in the last 6 months, how many of you have read the policies and procedures manual that KW Westfield has? Oh, I literally am the only one, because that is the cure for insomnia. I need you to know that. If you are not able to get to sleep, I need you to grab the KW Westfield Policies and Procedures Manual. Man, you will be out quick. But it just walks through. Now, why do we have it? Because it protects your broker. Because I can say, I told you so. It's in our Policies and Procedures Manual. And it's on you, it's not on me. And it is a protection. The division actually came out and said that if agents do something that would cause the broker to be fined, we're going to go after the agent more than the broker, because brokers, agent, guess what? You guys are still free agents. You're independent contractors, and because you have free will, you can still do things, and you can get your broker in trouble. But if I get sued, guess what? You get to cover my fines. Thank you very much. But let's not go there. Is that okay? So anyway, let's talk about these. Are just some quick true false questions, and so we'll start. KWW is an acceptable abbreviation for the brokerage name in all advertising. True or false? False. What does it have to be? KW Westfield. It is not Keller Williams Westfield. That was about 4 iterations ago of our name. It's KW Westfield. I'm trying to make it easy and small so you can put it in a text if you're sending a text out to somebody. KW Westfield. Before we were KW Westfield, it was Keller Williams Westfield Real Estate. Anyway, that's crazy. Then it became KW Westfield Keller Williams Real Estate. How's that for your text? Back when texts were only 160 characters, tweets were 140. And you would use it all up in KW Westfield, Keller Williams Real Estate. And it's like, oh, I'm out of characters. I can't even say something. So I hope that's useful. Anyway, KW Westfield, please. If you use the logo, you're golden. If someone you can say KWW. I'm going to say KWW and stuff, but don't put it in your ads. Okay, anything to John Q. Public, Jane Q. Public, please don't. All right. You can accept cash as earnest money. True or false? What are the acceptable ways to receive earnest money? A cashier's check, personal check, in rare occasions, wires, very rare occasions, wires. But I would say deposit link. ACHs. Think of it as an ACH. Deposit link is a great way to do it. And what are the limits on deposit links? There are none. Trick question. Okay, but I did it on purpose. Please do not take cash. We can't source it. Lenders can't source it. So we do not do cash for earnest money. Company allows dual agency where one agent represents both the buyer and seller. Nope, don't do it. What are the alternatives? How can we handle it? We have a buyer who comes in, looks at our listing, falls in love. What can you do? Okay, I heard refer it. That's one. Unrepresented buyer document. Those are the 2 easiest ways. But you may not represent both. And the reason why is you can't give loyalty to both. Now, will I allow it on occasion? Never, ever, if you are personally the buyer if you're personally the buyer or the seller. You cannot purchase your own listings, and you may not represent a buyer if you are the principal seller or a principal in that transaction. Clear as mud? That's just a division rule, and that's against the law. So don't do it. Yeah, go ahead.
They have agents that were saying, hey, I'll sell your home or I'll buy it myself,
Sure.
And so basically,
If your home doesn't sell, I'll buy it. Rob, I would, if you want to sell your home with me, if I can't sell it in 90 days, I'll buy it myself. Okay, what's the catch? I'm going to buy it at 30% off. I will agree to pay for your home 30% off. Everyone, you hear it on the radio right now. If you can't do it, so-and-so will buy your home. Well, yeah, he's going to buy it at 30% off. Anybody here want to sell their home for 30% off? I would be happy to buy your home. No, I'm dead serious. No takers? Huh, shock.
I get too many people calling me on the phone about that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Does that help? You guys, there's when I say there's an angle, there's always an answer to that stuff. So know that it's available. And you can do that, and it's something you can market that and say, hey, if we don't get your home sold, I'll buy it. But I want you to know that if we listed at $500,000, I'm going to knock 30% off of that. So how much is that? 5 times 3 is 150,000 off. I'll buy it for 350. Anyway, it works, doesn't it? Okay. Will you click on that again? Yeah.
The two agents within.
Yes, 2 agents within this brokerage for dual agency. Dual agency has 2 meanings. I'm sorry. Limited agency has 2 meanings. Most people, when they hear the word limited agency, they're thinking a single agent representing the buyer and the seller. If Marcus were representing a buyer, bringing it to my listing, that's acceptable. It's doable. In that case, the broker's literally is a dual agent. I'm the only one I trust here. Sorry. It's just how it works. Okay. This is a fun one. True or false? You must respond to office texts, meaning a text from your broker, within 4 hours. I heard a false. True or false? If it's an emergency, you know I'm going to get after you and I'm going to say, I need you to respond. You better respond in 4 hours. A text message is pretty easy unless you're in the air somewhere. I want a good excuse. Okay. That's really, I'm going to call it a courtesy. I really need you to respond if I'm reaching out to you. If the office is saying, hey, this is for you personally. This is not a broadcast. Come to team meeting. I don't really want, in fact, you don't want them to respond to that one, right? Heck no. Okay. Yeah. If it's a personal one from your broker, please respond within 4 hours. I don't think that's unreasonable. Usually you can get out of the dentist chair within 4 hours. If it's there longer than 4 hours, you're in trouble. Okay. E&O deductible, $2,500 per claim. True or false? Your deductible. How much is it? See, you need to know this. It is $2,500. So when I'm doing a deal for $1,000, I literally will talk to my buyer or seller and say, look, I'm doing this as a favor to you, and I'm only taking $1,000 in commission. That doesn't even cover my E&O deductible. You're not going to sue me, are you? I literally ask them because then they laugh. No, I'm not suing you. Great. Because you better not. But it's $2,500. Now to let you know what we do as a brokerage, if you are not capped, the brokerage will cover your 70-30 split. Will cover 30%. You'll cover 70% of that E&O deductible if we are sued and we have to invoke E&O. So just admit that, I can't remember if I put this question in or not. We have a policy. I've been broker since 2010. So coming up on 16 years. I've had 4 lawsuits where we've had to invoke E&O. The policy is if you are the cause for an E&O claim, your E&O swap, how much is it? How much is E&O every transaction? $35. You keep that in your head. Every transaction, even if you're capped, it's $35 for E&O insurance, right? And what we do is we pool that at the end of the year. Nova Lee writes a check for $40,000 for our E&O policy. It's awesome. We love writing checks for 40 grand for insurance. All right. If you're the cause for us to have an E&O claim, none of them that we've had thus far have been because our agent did something wrong. It's just someone had an attorney got happy and they decided to sue everybody that they could think of. And so they included us. But if you're the cause and let's say you are indeed at fault, your E&O deductible doubles for a year. So you'll pay $70 per transaction. Just letting you know that's built into the thing. All right. You can give legal advice if you've been in real estate for over 10 years. How many here for more than 10 years in the business? Okay. We got a few. Randy, can you give legal advice because you've been an agent for more than 10 years? He said, nope, he can't. And that's correct. You may not give legal advice unless what? Unless you are an attorney and you're a member of the Utah Bar. See, there are folks that they get their JD, but they never ever pass the bar. That doesn't count. And it's really cute when you see it on, realtor signatures. I just want you to know that I have my BS, my MPA, my, oh my goodness, I can't remember all of, there's a, at home with diversity, and I have my DOPE as well. Just, you should know. But I don't have a JD. All right. Juneteenth is now an observed company holiday. True or false? It's true. Keller Williams International said we're going to celebrate Juneteenth. June 19, our doors will be closed. Just saying. All right. You can act as both a listing agent and a loan officer in the same transaction. That is false. We have a husband-wife couple here. She will represent buyers and he will do the loan. Absolutely legal, and it's appropriate. But if you are a licensed loan officer, you may not, and a licensed licensed real estate agent, you may not double dip in that particular way. So just no. Say again? Yep. The team I'm thinking of, he has both. Okay. Agency must be disclosed before writing an offer at the latest. True or false? When do you determine agency? Define agency. Jordana. Yeah. Before you show a house, you better have agency in place. That means you sign a buyer broker or a listing agreement so that we have disclosed agency. I've had an agent who left our brokerage just recently, had written an offer, said, yeah, I got these guys under contract and all. I said, how'd you do that? Oh, I went to the division's website. I said, well, you're part of my referral brokerage. How are you representing a buyer? Well, I just, filled out the REPSI with the buyer. Yeah, you see that Section 5? What does Section 5 do in the REPSI? Well, that's where you put your name as the buyer's agent. What does it do? What is the word they use in there? It confirms agency. It does not create agency. But in his mind, it was creating agency. You have to have a buyer broker in place if you're writing an offer for someone. Otherwise, you're illegally representing them. You're confirming in Section 5 that you already have an agency agreement. You better have one before. Okay? You can sell timeshares at KW Westfield. True or false? False. Okay. They have a whole separate division for that with the division of real estate. Yeah, don't be selling timeshares. Besides, the margins are way too small. Okay. All advertising must be pre-approved by the broker. True or false? By division rules, it's true. Now, do I want to see all of your ads? No. What do I want to see in all of your ads? KW Westfield. Thank you. All right. And if you have bad grammar and stuff like that, that's on you. It could be on me too. Just saying. All right. The company participates in earnest money forfeitures. That means if somebody loses their earnest money, the company gets a piece of it. True or false? False. Thank you. You must attend at least one fair housing class per renewal period. True or false? It's true. And you get that in your code of ethics. You'll get some of fair housing stuff in the mandatory course. So that should cover a lot of it. Okay. Mobile homes are not attached to real property, can be sold through the brokerage. True or false? All right. The technical answer is false. Practical answer is true. We sell mobile homes on the multiple listing service, and we can do that. The Department of Transportation allows us to sell mobile homes as long as they're not being moved. You're not. Say again. Yes, exactly. If it's sitting in a mobile home park, you can sell it. And I have a whole folder of documents. You don't use a REPSI and you can list it, but it's not real property. It is personal, and we don't sell personal property. We are not involved in transactions where a trailer is being moved. Okay. Business opportunity sales are allowed. Nope. We don't allow, we don't sell businesses. I had a guy, their business out there, business brokers. Have you heard of business brokers? That they're selling business all the time. I think they take 10%. Has been a general rule that they follow. They're not licensed. It's an unlicensed activity, and it's not monitored by any state division that I'm aware of. But we do not sell businesses. Now, you may, with the proper introductions, you may sell a business. You may sell a commercial building, but you don't take a piece of that business unless it's part of the full package price. This building's for sale along with the brokerage and all of that. It's for this price. You can sell that and make a commission based on the total price. Okay. Broker approval to cancel a listing. True or false? Say it again. True. There's only one signature that can go on canceling a listing or canceling a buyer broker agreement. And that's mine. I believe they changed that form. I did put in I call it a cheat sheet, a help sheet for you in the documents, the important docs. It's the exclusive right to sell addendum out there. So if you're going to do a price change, if you're going to do something like that, I set it up so that you or the agent, as an agent, may sign that. But before you change a price on the MLS, thou shalt get a signed document before you do so. Had an agent get in heap big trouble, changed a price drop, did a price drop because the seller said, yeah, go ahead. They were on the phone. And the seller said, go ahead and do it. 2 weeks later, the seller was angry because they got an offer at that price. He thought that it would, they would get into a bidding war. And so he said, show me where I signed a document. And my agent said, you sure? That's not a good defense. You must have a change. If you're changing it from active no-show to active, you better have a signed document. So I tried to create that easy form for you so you can sign it and get it done. Okay. Cemetery lot sales, yay or nay? Yeah, I know it sounds like real estate. It's not. We just bought ours. Lehigh's less expensive than American Fork. Just thought you should know. If you were a resident. So before we moved, we bought them. Okay. I think I'm closer than some of you. Yeah. I can't remember. My wife wrote the check. I want to say it was $2,000 or $3,000. My 2,500. There's something like that. It wasn't confiscatory. My in-laws in Nephi, I think they paid $800. Yeah. But it was, you have to live in Joab County or there. Never mind. How much company dollar do you need to cap? In general, for if you're a standard agent, solo agent, what is your cap for KW Westfield? Nice and loud, Devin. Nope. KW Westfield, 15. Okay. And royalty, 3,000. Okay. What are your fees? Total fees if you are not capped and you're buying your own piece of property. What is the total that the company takes? You're not capped. Or you're not capped. So how much do you pay the brokerage? Wow. We've had this discussion how many times? What is it again? 565. 565. 500 to the brokerage, keeps the lights on, even if they're dim. Don't go to my office. I never turn on my lights. 500 to the brokerage, $30, 6% goes to international, and $35 for E&O. 565 is your total number. So we don't take a 70-30 split on whatever the commissions would be on that. Roll the commissions into your home. Before you do it, please talk to us. Is that okay? We've had a lot of people buy it and they'll say, hey, just closed on a property. How do I get the company split? If the commissions come in my door, I can't do a thing about it. If $10,000 comes in, 600 is going to go to international. You should have rolled it into your house when you bought it. And that's
Also-
why we have that conversation.
We've also talked about this. It's also better strategically for taxes as well.
Yeah.
Is to not have that money hit the account.
Yeah, if that 10,000 comes in, 600 goes away to international, 500 comes to us, and a third goes to Uncle Sam and Uncle Gary, and Uncle Spencer. So I would rather you not pay taxes. Is that okay? Legally not pay taxes. All right. All right. This is a fun one. When does your anniversary reset for capping purposes? Luke, you're a new agent. What is it? Nope. It actually is the first day of the month following the day you joined. So if you joined in January, next year, February 1, your cap resets. Does that make sense? It's the first day of the month following the month that you joined KW Westfield. Okay, so your cap resets. I love this. Who pays referral fees paid to an outside company? You or the brokerage? I heard it. Brokerage. Brokers pay. As cute as it is to have your signature on a referral agreement, it's not necessary. I need the broker's signature on our side, and I want a broker on the other side, because an agent, you can't obligate me to pay somebody. I'm not going to be a hard nose about it. We'll pay it. But I'm just trying to say legally, you need to understand how it works. Is that all right? And I tell everybody this, it's my money before it's your money. That's why I have to sign escrow instructions if we're going to contribute to our buyers or our sellers' cause. Is that fair? And you've heard this is not new, right? You've heard this before. Good. Hope so. This is a fun one too. How long do you have to? You just moved. You bought your dream house. How long do you have to notify the brokerage? How many? Nope. 10 days. I can't do everything. I'll drop everything. 10 days. Let us know. Jordana, did you move recently? Oh, it's been a while, huh? Sweet. All right. You have 10 days. And what's the same for the division of real estate? It is the same number. 10 days. You have to let them know that you moved. You see, because if I relocated to Ely, Nevada, but I'm still conducting real estate in the state of Utah, I can do that. But I have to notify the division that I've moved so they can find me if they need to put their hurt on me. All right. I love the last question here. Within what time frame should listings be submitted to the office so you let your broker know? What's the legal time frame to let your broker know that you've taken a listing, taken a buyer, put something under contract? Not 24 hours. 72 hours. You have 3 days to let them. So in practice, how do you let me know that you put something under contract or that you took a listing or you wrote a buyer broker? Because I don't want to know. Terry, as much as I enjoy talking to you, I don't need you to call me and say, hey, Dean, I took a listing. I'm going to say, congratulations. Have a good day. Right? But what's the appropriate way to notify your broker? Put it in command. Okay, just put it in command. I'm a nut because by law, I have to keep a record of everything that you're doing. That's why command is the graveyard for executed documents. Once you've executed something, please put it in command. All right. This is a fun one. How long is seller's property conditions disclosure valid? Under established business relationship. Any ideas? A month? 2 months? I hope not, because your listings are taking 74 days to sell. Say again? Until it changes. Nope. That was close though. 18 months. Just so you know. So I took a listing in September and the sellers filled out their disclosure documents. We just put it under contract. Are they still valid? Yeah, they are. They're still valid for 18 months. Now, this is a fun one. How long after an inquiry does an established business relationship last for do not call purposes? The do not call list is a big deal. KW paid a lot of nickels in a lawsuit about that. So we take do not call list very seriously. But if I have a relationship with Devin, Devin's on the do not call list, and I haven't contacted him for 2 months, do I still have the right to be able to call him? Yeah, I do, because it's 3 months. Okay, just keep that in mind. Do not call. If I got Rob's permission to talk to Rob, Sheila, we're talking with each other. We have an established business relationship, even though I am on the do not call list. If Sheila hasn't called me in 3 months, she has to reestablish that permission for her to be able to call me for those purposes, for marketing purposes. Does that make sense? Just keep that in mind. It's 3 months, 90 days. Yeah, Kevin. And I can't hear you. You're going to have to use your big voice. I'm an old man. I can't hear you. So hang on. He's giving you a mic.
What if something relevant to the transaction happens 4 months after you thought you were done talking to each other? Okay. Here's a real hypothetical. So you have a listing, you list it, it doesn't sell, it expires. 4 months later, a guy calls you and says, "Hey, that listing you had 4 months ago, can I buy it?" That's relevant to the transaction. Could you then call them?
You can call them, but if you get, I'm using my language. If you get 3 no's and hey, Dean, it's Kevin, and I say no, 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 I'm done hearing from you. You better say see ya
Okay.
at that point.
Since we both
But
have
yeah,
mics,
you do
wanna
have a
sing a
legitimate
duet?
reason. That's a legitimate reason to call someone and all that, to say, hey, I have someone that expressed some interest in your home. Is that even of interest to you? So a good hypothetical, but again, the 3 no rules count.
Thanks, Dean. I love you.
I'm sorry. Yes, do not call includes texting, marketing texts. If you send out broadcast texts, you could be in trouble with a do not call list. I get at least 3 a day. Hey, we have a health plan for you. How did you know I wasn't healthy? Once again, someone reminding me of my age. Or we have Medicare plans. I'm almost 65. I'm not quite there. But those are things. But as soon as I get them, I just put them on my block and spam list. And so I don't worry about it. Anyway, super important. How often do you have to scrub your do not call list? Every 90 days. Just by way of information. Now, I finally updated my do not call list. That list is so big, it doesn't even fit in a spreadsheet because I covered, it only gives me 3 area codes for free. So I took 435, 801, and 385. And there's so many in those 3 area codes that I can't even put in a list, but I can search and do a find, see if I can find it. You have to open it up as a flat file. It's exciting. My recommendation is probably don't use dialers, don't use calls, but officially you have to scrub your list every 3 months or update it every 3 months. Oh, I'm sure there are paid services out there. Okay, it sounds like, no, Command's not going to do it for you, I promise. Go ahead.
I probably wouldn't trust AI yet, like, because that is a big fine that you don't want, a $20 ChatGPT account to overlook, right? But RedX is a service that is out there. There's a couple platforms where they're like $50 a month, and they will scrub against the do not call list for you.
And even then, they've missed. So just say, call people you know or people that have been referred to you. Say, hey, Sheila asked me to give you a call. Is it okay if we have a conversation? I understand you have a real estate problem. You get one call to reach out to them. But I would, is it okay if I follow up with you? Are you okay with a text message? And then I may send a text, say, hey, as we discussed, I would love to stay in touch with you, now and then. Is that okay? If you get a yes, now I have a signed document saying, yeah, we can. Or you'll see it on people's websites. By clicking submit, you're allowing us to reach out to you. So there are different ways of getting permissions, even though they are on the do not call list. So I don't want to make this all about do not call because there's so many other fun questions we're going to get to. How long do you have to keep files? Now, this is according to the Policies and Procedures Manual, not what the division says. Our Policies and Procedures Manual says if you sold a property, you should keep it for 5 years. What is the division's rule for retention on documents? Say again. Yeah, it's 3 + 1. 3 + 1. We're in the year 2026. So you wait until 2029 and then January 1 of 2030, you may destroy them or take them off of your servers and all that. 3 + 1. If you just keep that in mind, you'll be fine with the division of real estate. Unless the division decides this particular file, we're going to extend it and you need to hold on to this particular file because we're investigating. And they can take up to 10 years. So just be aware. And how about this? Don't get on their radar. I know that's shocking. Don't get on their radar. You'll be fine. Okay? And that includes rejected offers and all that, 3 + 1. So if you wrote a buyer broker agreement, you need to hold on to that. Who else needs to hold on to that doc? Your broker does. So that means put it in command. If someone signed a buyer broker with you, put it in command, even if they don't buy something. Because by law, I have to have that. Every offer you wrote, whether it was rejected or whether it was not considered because there were multiple offers, put it in command because I have to, by law, have to maintain that. If you don't put it in there, the division will come after you. Meaning if there was some kind of an investigation on that file. Does that make sense? Isn't this fun? I told you it would be super exciting and you guys haven't fallen asleep yet. So I'm delighted. This top question, this is not a trick question. What form should you use whenever possible? What real estate form should you use whenever possible? 3 initials, UAR forms. Okay. The REPC that is on the state's website, that is a UAR form and was developed with the Division of Real Estate in mind, and that is approved by the Attorney General of the state of Utah. So please use those. My second one is the second question up here. I see it more times than I don't. Can you create your own custom addendum? Only if you're an attorney. Otherwise, use the forms. What if you wanted to write your own seller's going to pay some closing costs, doc? Don't do it. Use the language that's built into the blank REPC, or there is a specific addendum, the closing cost addendum. Don't write your own docs. You're not that good because I've seen what you've written. Anyway, just saying. What is the year before, built before year that we use as standard for lead-based paint disclosure? 78. If it's built before 1978, thou shalt use lead-based paint disclosures. Okay? You officially, how many have seen this? You go on the MLS, the house was built in 1965, lead-based paint disclosure doc is in there and it's blank. How many of you seen that? I've seen that more times than shake a stick at. It's really funny how people will do that. And I go, Chikel, how did you do that? Why would you do something? You didn't do that. But you've seen it, have you not? Yeah. Guess what? It's a violation of MLS rules to put a blank addendum because you can't. You have to actually put that doc in order to be able to publish your listing. So people put a blank doc in because they didn't bother getting it signed by the seller. You better have it because you have to. I asked the guy, Dave Johnson. He used to be the broker in KW Park City. Dave is an attorney, and before he retired, but he was literally one of the authors of the REPSI that we know today. So he's a pretty smart guy. I said, Dave, explain to me why the lead-based paint disclosure is required before the offer's written. He said, because in their infinite wisdom, the federal government thought that a buyer would never consider buying a house that could have lead-based paint in it without a disclosure. So they said, you have to disclose before they write the offer. So they're writing an, if you will, clear skies, they have to be fully informed before they write an offer. Therefore, they write the offer because we didn't think about due diligence, goodness, there's, why am I drawing a blank? What's the gas that we rate on? We're to rate on. Well, we have an inspection period for that. Same for lead-based paint. How many have, we have probably 150 years at least of experience in this room. How many have had a buyer conduct a lead-based paint test on a house? Anybody? I had one in 23 years. And it was and the reason why it was done is because the seller was HUD. So HUD did the lead-based paint test and submitted it for my buyer, gave it to my buyer. My buyer never did the test. HUD provided it, but I've only seen it once. Anyway, just know about it. What form do you use when the buyer wants to represent themselves on a listing? Super easy. Say again. Unrepresented buyer disclosure. Yeah, super important because the buyer sign off saying, I understand that I am not represented, that you, the listing agent, are representing the seller, and I better not tell you anything I don't want the seller to know. Is that fair? Must sellers complete a property condition disclosure on every listing? Should they? The REPSI says they should, that they're going to provide disclosures. What might be an exception? If it's bank owned, I've seen banks provide pages of disclosures. So that may or may not be, but usually that disclosure says we've never seen the property, we know nothing about the property and all that. What if somebody's fixer flipping a property? Should they disclose? Yes. If you're fixing it, if you bought a house and you're just going to flip it, you don't know anything about it, say so. Say, I have no knowledge about this. This was an investor purchase. We're selling the property. We have no knowledge. But, I don't know anything about the house. I just replaced the roof, walls, flooring, and all electrical and plumbing. But I don't know anything about the house. I want to know. You see, so that's why I talked to them. Yeah, go ahead, Terry.
Okay.
Would you recommend, because when they purchased the property, there could have been seller's disclosures. Would you recommend sharing those as well?
Yes. So was that easy? Yeah. If a buyer purchased a property from a seller who gave them disclosures and they're turning on flipping the property, or they inherited it, but mom died during the listing period. I'm picking up my mom. She's 91. There's an outside chance she may not make it to 100. She's on me enough. She probably will. But the bottom line is, yeah, if you have disclosures, share all you can to disclose. Okay. And that's the whole thing. If in doubt, disclose. If it's an estate sale, my mom lived in a house for 62 years. She had to provide all these disclosures. I had no idea. They did some of the things they did to the house. No, it was kind of nice to know. So anyway, disclose. I love this. Can the listing agent complete the seller's property condition disclosure document for the seller on their behalf? You may not. All right. My time is up. I love to tell stories. I'm going to share this last one. $300,000 lot down in in Covered Bridge up Spanish Fork Canyon. Anybody know that subdivision? Beautiful little place. $300,000 lot. One of the items on the seller disclosure said that, are you aware of any restrictions on the property for them to be able to do a perk test or to be able to, connect to a sewer or to be able to put in put in the tank. And they said, no problem at all. You'll be able to get in there and be fine. Buyer closed. Agents got paid. 3 months later, buyer's going into the county to say, hey, I need to get a permit to do a perk test so I can put in a septic tank. And the county said, oh yeah, we're not issuing any more permits in that subdivision. And the buyer said, excuse me, I've put in thousands of dollars already, for the plans, for the engineering. I need to do this. And they said, yeah, no. The buyer ended up suing the seller and the listing brokerage on this particular case because the listing agent / broker had filled out the forms, DocuSigned them out to the seller who happened to be on vacation in Indonesia at the time. The seller signed all the docs and said, yep, these are correct. And all that. And so my agents were saying, when they were going through depositions, their attorney said, so who filled out these forms? And the listing broker had to raise his hand and said, I filled out the forms. And I do that. The listing brokerage got to return fees back to the seller, and the seller had to give the $300,000 plus the fees and the expenses that the buyer had gone through to purchase the property and all that. That was a really expensive lesson. Mercifully, we did not get sued on that one. It wasn't our fault, but most attorneys would say, oh yeah, we're going to go after the buyer's brokerage too, because they should have known something. That's how attorneys think a lot. Anyway, guys, disclose. Last of all, I wanted to go to see if I can find my final slide. Only have a million ones here. We had a bunch of fun scenarios to go through. There was just so much fun we could have had. If the sales associate is ever uncertain about any aspect of his or her business, the associate shall talk to me, please. Don't wing it. I know you're good. Don't wing it. Okay. Always serve your client's best interests. You won't only find the compensation to be great, but you'll get personal fulfillment in your life. And here's the real secret: have fun every day as you serve and hone your craft. This is a fun business. I love doing real estate. I love blessing people's lives. I hope that you do, and I hope that you have a lot of fun doing it. If you're interested, Policies and Procedures Manual, there's a little link in there. It'll say important documents on those links that we send out. If you walk around the office, it'll say, hey, if you have any questions, click this link and it'll give you a list of all kinds of stuff. Where are the important documents? Where do I find the different playbooks? Where do I find information about whatever here in the brokerage? If you need that, you can also text me. I'll send it to you. But we'll find it. Policies and Procedures Manual, you should know it because in your ICA, your independent contract agreement, says that you've read it and that you agree to adhere to it. Anyway, that's why I'm here. I hope that you had fun. Sometimes it's just interesting to talk about legal stuff, hopefully in a lighthearted way where you're not under the magnifying glass getting beat up by another attorney. Last thing, and I will share this one. If somebody brings up the A word or the L word, attorney or lawyer, whether it's your client or the opposing or the cooperating party that you're working with, if that ever happens, I need you to terminate communication at that point. I do not want you to say, yeah, I totally messed up. because I promise you that will go on the record. Do not do that. But please just say, you know what? At this point, I need to terminate our conversation. All communication now goes through to my broker, and I'll give you his number. Have your attorney contact him. I won't allow that agent or that principal, that client, to talk to you until I get a note from them or their attorney saying, yeah, we're backing off. We're not going down the legal path. It's amazing how quickly people back off because their attorney is the guy that lives in their neighborhood that happens to be a land use attorney. Most of the time, he's a tort attorney or an environmental attorney or something else. Anyway, let me know if you ever hear the A word. All right, we'll see you.